Look at all this cool stuff.
Oh, we're ready.
My play today is actually Evan McPherson, Cage.
Dude, I was going to show you.
Adam Vinatieri.
I was going to show you what I got for Whatnot tomorrow. We got some football stuff on here. I got some Burrow, some T. Higgins. I got some cool stuff, man. Not just our normal Mason Greenwood. But yeah, I mean,
you have Evan McPherson?
It's funny. As he's kicking, right? You got to think, pat on the back for whoever it does who does the scouting for the Bengals. You got to think pat on the back. Like I actually was thinking as they lined up for that last second kick, like I wonder if player personnel, the GM, the folks who do the scouting were kind of on the phone texting with each other. You know how we text with our crew, we text with our guys about like, hey, this is a good NFT, or hey, look at this. Why is this RPA? You think they're texting each other? Hey, remember when we went down to the University of Florida and we used a 5th-round draft pick on this kid? Look at the ice water in his veins. He doesn't miss a field goal on the road all year as a rookie, and then does this and sends the Bengals, who hadn't had a playoff win in 30 years, now they're going to be in the AFC Championship game on his leg.
I agree. The scouts deserve the credit. But, dude, he deserves the credit. Like, it's not that he even made the kicks. It's how perfect every single kick was.
Dead center. You know who I feel bad for? The other side of the coin? Randy Bullock. Not Jim J. Bullock, who was the center square.
He's chunky.
Okay, but he's allowed to be chunky. The kickers could be chunky. Kickers could be small. But he was a 5-year player for the Bengals and never got to the playoffs before. And this was his first playoff game for the Titans against his old team and lost.
I would say he's the bad luck charm, but I would say poor game management, poor clock management, a lack of urgency was kind of weird. It was like they had no urgency at the end of the game.
Tale of two kickers. And
then they did have urgency. It's very, very odd. Very odd.
I mean, you know what's weird about it, and I'll be as honest as I can. At halftime, I was like, I wonder if this is the time. Bet a live line on Tennessee. Bet that Tennessee's going to win. Get a live line. I wonder if this is the game to, break the seal and start betting. Even though Cincinnati was in charge, Tennessee just kind of played like, all right, ho hum. We know the ball's going to come back to us. We know this is going to happen. We know it's ours. We know we're the better team. But when you let a team like the Bengals, when you let them hang around, this is what happens. You know what I mean? They find a way. And you know what I'm going to tell you? That kid Chase. I mean, you can tell that is not. We talked about the connection there is between wide receiver and quarterback, and how some guys just have it. The timing's there. It takes Rodgers a couple games to get in sync with Lazard or whoever it is that he's going to turn into a stud that week, right? I got to go back to just a horrible call by me before the season when they drafted Jamar Chase instead of drafting him some protection and drafting an offensive line. That said, I mean, because you could see that one 16, 17-yarder that they had 20 seconds and they needed to gain 16, 17 yards. I mean, they were going to chase. Like the whole defense, the whole stadium has to know they're going to chase. And the throw is made before he even breaks, before he makes the break to the outside, and the ball's put on him perfectly. Burrow does not deserve to win that game. He took too many really bad sacks. Now, you can fault the offensive line there. You could say Tennessee's defensive line was great, but he's got to be able to get rid of the ball. What did he get sacked? 14 times? I mean, and so many times they're at the 20. Well, the sack's not specifically on him. Some of them are. He should get rid of the ball. But the ones where he's scrambling, he sees the rush coming, he's got to be able to get rid of the ball. And, I guess half of you can say, hey, maybe he doesn't get rid of the ball. Maybe he avoided throwing a bad pick. How many times have we seen Kyler Murray last week in the playoffs try to avoid a safety and wind up throwing a pick six? So maybe it's better. Maybe take the sack. But when you're at the 25, when you're at the 28, right, and it's 3rd and long, and you're the quarterback, and you know that the defense is pinning their ears back, and they're going. They're coming to get you. When you know that's happening, you have to know if your read is not there, you have to have a hot route. You have to get rid of the ball. You have to be able to throw it out of bounds. You have to throw it at somebody's feet and preserve that field goal. Because a game like this.
Not if you have Evan McPherson.
Well, McPherson should have even had a chance. I mean, listen,
Burrow could go down in the 45-yard line. He's like, my guy's got it.
No, I mean, he's mid-50 accurate. High 50s is a different story. But here's the thing, right?
He's younger than
this.
Jason Tatum.
I was ready to come on here. You don't like Tatum. I was ready to come on here. I was ready to say, wow, you don't see it that often where the team that loses the turnover battle wins the game. When Tennessee came in and won it at the end. They had the time. They had a 2-minute drill. They're going to drive. They'll kick a field goal. They'll win the game sloppy, ugly, and be better for it next week. But then you have Tannehill throws another pick. It seemed like all the bobbled balls kind of went in the wrong direction. A lot of balls getting hit up into the air. And it's very hard in the playoffs, no matter how good your defense is, to win the game when you lose a turnover battle.
I mean, maybe Tannehill is managing the game, but 2 drives. The one drive when Freeman had like the 52-yard run,
Yep.
he ran the ball every single play, and then the first time they threw it was the interception.
Yep.
Just keep running it.
Keep running it. I'm with you, but they'll stop if you run.
Or at least do a play action, right? Like the whole play action thing. Like if you're not going to run,
that was a good defensive play. We'll give some credit where it is. But Tannehill did not look good.
All the plays are good defensive plays. This are the best 2 teams in. Like these are good teams.
The Bengals have a decent defense.
Right. Well, but the point is, like, you're not going to get that many bad plays in the playoffs. That's why it's the best teams.
Listen, you ever do math? I know you don't love math, right? But you ever do math, and it's like A is better than B.
I've told you numerous times I was probably best in the state and top 5 in the country at times tables.
Top 5 in the country at times tables.
Easily.
Right. And that was like there were like 10 of you in a room.
Addition, subtraction, multiplication,
4 of them are better than you. How did you get
problems? And then you'd have to finish it in.
And they graded you, and they said he's top 5. Okay, so you're good at math. So you tell me this: why am I happy? Right? So because rules of arithmetic would say this: the Bengals are one of the top 2 teams in the AFC because they're going to the AFC Championship game. The Raiders had a 4th and goal play to tie them at the last second. So that means the Raiders are the 3rd best team.
That's right. I think that's
because the Raiders are better than they're supposed to be. Transitive properties, exactly. That's the deal. So you look at you with your arithmetic. Rima, right now you look like a ninja. Like you're ready to go and like do karate now. You got the hoodie. Is this a CryptoPunk look? Are you like a hoodie CryptoPunk? I like it. It's a Halloween costume.
It felt right. Like I haven't had this hoodie in a while. My family brought it, so I missed it.
Oh. Is it a comfy hoodie?
It's really comfy.
There you go. Listen, everybody has to have their comfy clothes. That's what I say. I was in a comfy
Saturday, right? I could chill. I watched The Sandlot today. That was awesome.
Dude, it's a good movie, right?
It's a feel-good movie. Sometimes you just got to shut off the brain and feel good. I go to Disney movies. I go to Disney movies or stand-up comedy. Depends on.
Well, let me ask. And did you watch it by yourself?
No, with like 60 kids.
No, seriously. Were you watching it by yourself, or were you watching it with other people? You watch it by yourself. Oh, that kind of sucks a little bit. Was there a moment? Well, because was there a moment? If there was somebody there, it'd be nice if it were like you could brag. But was there a moment in there where you took stock in your life, and you're watching this movie that is a well-known baseball movie? Guys love this movie. People, and was there a moment there where you're watching and you're like, I interviewed those 3 guys. Like those 3 guys were on the podcast.
Both said that.
Well, yeah, that's why I asked you if you watched it by yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, bro, of course, bro.
Doesn't count. Bro, you just you don't count. There you go. Sorry, man, you don't count. Yeah. But seriously, isn't that a cool thing? Like, think back, right? We started this fun little thing here. We're talking sports cards and we're having fun, and where the journey has taken. You're sitting there watching a movie today, and the kids who were in the movie. I mean, we didn't get to talk to Wendy Peppercorn. That's 2022 goals. How great was that scene, right? With Squints? Yeah, that's a great scene. Yeah, kid watching that movie.
Dude, that does feel good. I'll tell you, the thing that feels the most good is having the resources and connections to give back to our community. So I always talk about like how we're in it together, but I think people don't really realize why I say that. Like I think like everyone has fundamental business philosophies. Like I'm excited for Web3 because I believe in community-driven business. So like being able to give back to the community because of the resources, relationships we have, that's the coolest. That's the most like fulfilling. And then there are like the braggadocious things. Like I interviewed those guys, or I interviewed Irvin Fryer or Spud Webb. I asked him about the dunk contest. He didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, he didn't. No, that's braggadocious. Cool. It's a cool thing, I mean, I think it's cool. We watched a movie. I mean, we didn't get to talk to the great Hambino or Benny the Jet. But
Benny's so nice in that movie, man. He's so patient. I'm like, am I that patient with people?
No.
Damn, man, I gotta learn. Benny's a good dude.
You try. Yeah, he was patient. He was patient with what's his name? Smalls.
Yeah.
Killing me, Smalls. Killing me, Smalls. That's a good movie. You know, there are some good cards for the Sandlot, right? You know, maybe they did an archives. They had the Sandlot autograph
Yes,
cards.
they
Those are
did.
pretty awesome. Pretty cool cards. You know,
And
I
who is
got
it? Who is it? Is it Yaya? No, it's not Yaya. Who's the strong one? The one that got into weightlifting.
Oh, I don't remember. I know who you're talking about though. Was it? Yeah, yeah. No. Whatever.
All right, dude. So, what do you want to talk about? What's your topic du jour today?
Well, let's talk. I mean, do you think Burrow's cards get a little bit of a lift because of this? You think that they have a shot against either Kansas City or Buffalo?
Joe Cool. What do you think
Joe
about
Cool,
these
man.
glasses? I just think they're kind of cool. What do you think? Joe Cool. Yeah, maybe he's like the Joe Namath of our time. Huh? What do you think about that?
I mean, maybe. It looks a little forced on him. I got to tell you. You know, the cigar looks like he doesn't know what to do with the cigar, which is interesting. You
Well,
know,
you probably smoke.
but I mean, I'm
You're the
impressed
one
by
that
him.
you like to chew cigars, if I heard correctly.
I do. You know, I got rid of my one color match Joe Burrow card. You know, one of those calculated plays, right? Where it's like, all right, I'm gonna sell this now before the playoffs because, you know, even if he does scoop by the Raiders, they're not gonna win, and that was probably a mistake. You know, so good job to the person who bought that Joe Burrow from me. I'm just wondering whether or not, what your thoughts are. I would think it probably see a little bit of a bump up, but I mean, how many upsets would he have to pull, right? You know, I'm sure both Buffalo and Kansas City are thinking now all we got to do is win tomorrow, and it's an easy road to the Super Bowl. But Tennessee was thinking
What's
that too. I
interesting
think.
about people, Cage?
Shoot,
I've been trying to understand investor psychology, and right now,
ooh, nice.
markets are tanking, ETH is tanking, everything is kind of tanking.
Everything's tanking.
Truthfully, I don't feel it, but we could talk about that because I do think it's a good topic.
Yeah, let's talk about it. How do you not feel it when everything's going down?
I just don't think I'm overextended.
Mm.
I think a lot of people right now are overextended, and I think they're investing on leverage, like through credit cards, through lines of credit. I even dude, I think there's businesses in the hobby that give you kind of like payday loans, like, hey, we'll give you 70% upfront on auctions or whatever, like that kind of stuff. I think people are very overextended, Cage.
Maybe.
But
Maybe.
just real quick, as I was saying, I think people are really good at quantifying upside. I think they're very poor at quantifying downside. So you're like Joe Burrow cards, do they see a bump? Yeah, probably. Let's say they see a 20% bump. That's probably generous, right?
Yeah.
That's going from 2,500 to 3,000. But dude, what if he lost that game? Would his cards go down to 1,500? So yes, they do see a bump, but you're better just betting on the game if you're doing that because at least your risk reward is more in balance. Here, you might see a 25% bump or a 40% downturn.
Yeah, but you bet on the game, and it's 100% either direction.
Correct.
You bet on the game, and if he loses, his cards don't lose all their value. They lose some, or they may say, "Wow, he played better than he should have." Maybe his card stays the same price, even though.
I just wanted to contextualize that because you were like,
I get it.
They see a bump. People also should weigh what would have happened in the other scenario.
Can I throw a little extra into the mix on card stuff? I don't know what this means,
Please.
right? But it's a good.
Love our show.
It's a good indicator, I guess, of the market. Maybe, although maybe you tell me what you think. I sell on eBay with Probstein. That's my go-to, right? I mean, I sell stuff with him, pretty often. I sold a lot of stuff at the end of the year. It's an easy way for me to kind of churn through my collection. Whenever I got back PSA returns, whenever I get my cards back,
Probstein and War for my 1-2, by the way, because they have different fee structures. Probstein and War for kind of my 1-2.
Yeah. I mean, I built up a good rep with Probstein, and I mean, some of our listeners will probably, know this. There are people who get cards back from us, and they'll ask me, "Hey, what should I do with these?" And I'll tell them, "Send it to Probstein and drop my name in the envelope." And put a little, "Hey, Cage told me to use you," kind of thing. And then they'll message me and be like,
note on the table.
He listed them the same day he got them. Wow, that was really great. So I I guess if I sell enough stuff, I got that VIP line for me over in Probstein, so I'll take it where I can get it. But
can you hook a brother up?
yeah, if you need. But here's where I'm going with this. This year, the cards that I've sold this year, there are more non-payer than probably in the last 6 months. Right? So I'm talking about just in January. There have been more, whether it's Marvel cards, whether it's sports cards, whether it's basketball cards. We're talking low-end stuff too. A Spider-Man PSA 9 Marvel, a Devontae Graham PSA 9 Silver, just random stuff not getting paid for. And we're talking about like multiple items with no pay. And some of them get relisted and actually sell for more. Some of them get relisted and sell for less, kind of cancels itself out. I think I'm actually negative to him right now because he'll pay me, and then when things get relisted, if you're down money, now I have a negative on my account. I got to send him more, and he can, he'll take that off. But what's that in your brain? Because I have an idea. What does that mean in your brain? I mean, remember, I'm a small sample size, but what does it mean to you if you're seeing an uptick in unpaid items, not returns, just unpaid? People won and they just didn't pay.
So a lot of really not so good behavior in the hobby sometimes, Cage. There's a lot of not so good behavior. And the responsibility it's like that Spider-Man meme where they all point to the next one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Because like Probstein can point to eBay and eBay can point to Probstein and Probstein can be like, well, dude, I can't control people's shill. So Probstein will point to the buyers will point to eBay. I think there's just collectors buy the cards they love. Investors buy cards they believe in, and flippers buy cards that they could, make money on in the next week because they're pretty impatient. I think when things are going well, people are more likely to buy because they know in a week, like with the run-up, with like how run-ups used to be, that they could sell Trae Young silver for 20% more. So it didn't really matter, right? They're like, I didn't get the best price, but I could sell this for more next week anyway. Remember you sold your Trae Young silver?
Yep.
But now there's not as many run-ups, so people get like buyer's remorse, right? And there's no repercussions. There's no repercussions. An unpaid strike, you call eBay, they take that off. So it's a combination of not vetting your buyers, but how can they? It's eBay. A lot of bad behavior as well, and a lot of finger pointing without like, how do we actually fix these problems? It is what it is. So I like alt, man. I got to be honest. I like instant ownership transfer, right? You go in there, you click buy, you have to have the money in your account. It transfers it. Ownership, you have the thing in your account, you have the money in your account to use. That's just how it should be. You know what I mean? Like we're not buying toaster ovens. We're buying specific cards. And if I buy it from you, here's the money, here's the card instantly, which is digital asset ownership. That's what it is, guys, by the way. So that's where I'm at on it.
All right. I mean, is there a way for all to do that without having the money in the account? No, right?
No, but dude, they made it frictionless. So adding money to the account, they actually give you like an instant deposit up to $5,000, and withdrawing, they have a really good merchant processor. So you get the money in 1 to 2 days. So you have no risk. You just deposit money. They'll probably soon add cryptocurrency. You just deposit money. You're ready to make auctions. If you want the money out, you can take it out. It'll be in your bank account in 2 days.
How long does it take to add crypto as a payment? We're still waiting for it from Panini. Forever.
I gotta tell you, man, it's not. It's a process. You got to KYC. You got to know your customer. You have to have that whole setup in place. So that there is that process. But it's one of those things. It's like, how fast is it? It's like if you give yourself a month to clean the driveway, it'll take you a month. If you give yourself a day to clean the driveway, it'll take a day. You've heard this before? I think Musk said something similar. I think it's one of those things. They don't understand the value prop. But that dude, Panini doesn't understand priorities. Like, they want to do everything. They actually listen to their customers. I just don't think they actually get anything done.
All right.
Dude, but this is why like Tether and USDC, people are saying like it doesn't actually all have to be crypto. Like, you could just allow people to use cryptocurrency to buy these things, but it's the stable coin. It's not like the volatile ETH or volatile Bitcoin. That can be people's wallet.
True.
Because that, if that's hooked up to alt cage, then you have the money. There are no withdrawals. You know what I mean? Then you just have the
Yes.
money in your wallet, and you don't have your money in your wallet, and that makes life
Right.
really easy.
And you just swap it out to like,
Yeah.
a stable coin, a USDC or something. Right. All right. That's it. I mean, it's interesting. The whole, automatic transfer. I think that's an important thing. I really do because, I hope it doesn't continue, but we sure are seeing a whole bunch of bad players. And part of what people like about going to card shows and stuff is cash deals. Automatic. It's gone. It's cash. It's done. Crypto. With that automatic transfer and no backsies kind of stuff, it's the same. It's the same kind of deal. And with the prices that are being paid on cards now, somebody who bought a Joe Burrow this week on eBay, they're sitting there going, "Wow, like I got to see what happens in this game." There are probably people who are out there buying both Mahomes and Josh Allen right now with a full-on plan that whichever one loses, they return next week.
I would argue the seller could do the same, though, right? Like it could be, there's so much room for impropriety because the seller could be like, "Yo, Burrow won. I don't want to sell him." So it's like it's I think humans are very incentive driven, and when there are incentives to break the rules, it's like, can you really blame the humans? Like in California, right? You don't get punished now for any crime or any theft under $950, right? So now the disincentive to steal is gone because you don't get arrested if you steal anything under $1,000. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go steal. They're not gonna chase me. Nothing's gonna happen to me.
Is that why you have your black cat burglar hoodie on? Are you going to go to California and steal stuff right now? No?
Dude, you won't see me dead in California, man. They got it all fucked up over there.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
dude,
it. No
so
California.
Weird. They're so weird over there, and I
gotta tell you, man. We're going down a negative hole, and I'm in a good mood today. I looked at the kids' camp schedule. I looked at the kids' camp schedule. I saw when it ended, and I said, you know what? I need a target. I need for weight loss. I need to get healthy. I need something to look forward to. It's dreary. It's January. It's cold. And I booked another Disney vacation for my family.
Let's go!
So that's it. We booked a vacation. I'm excited.
Dude, I love it. Shopping spree.
That's it. So we booked a vacation. Well, I mean, listen, I have a timeshare down there, so it was really just using my timeshare.
I'm calling.
What? Who's calling? What do you mean?
I don't know who.
Who's going to call you? What are you talking about?
I never know what I'm talking about.
Well,
dude,
usually I can figure it out, but I have no idea what you're saying right now. But yes, I'm excited.
I said to see it.
I said to Ian, I'm like, "What are you most excited for?" And you know what he says?
What is
they
that?
make good churros, so he's excited for the churros. He wants to eat churros in Disney.
You know what the best thing I read today was like, sold this NFT. I think it was maybe an ape. Will I miss it? Yes. But what I will miss more is not taking the vacations, not having the memories, not having the experiences with my family and friends that could buy. And I think sometimes we forget about the things that we own. They kind of own us. All this stuff is like, and sometimes I think about it. Like last year, I splurged, remember, on Casa Los Charcos. That was like $8K or something like that for 2 months for the family.
Yeah, but you were staying in the same house that Megatron stayed in. I mean, come on now.
I know, but dude, like that 8K could have been put into NFTs, and maybe I would have minted 4 apes. You know what I'm saying?
Can't think like that.
No, it's not bitter. I'm just trying to because we're in a huge downturn, Cage. There's no way to. It's just like, remember what we're trying to do with all this stuff, right? It's not the stuff. It's not the card and the price and the value to go up. It's what that could allow us to do, and that pay off student loans, for example.
I'm with you. So with crypto down, do you think that impacts the prices of cards? Because there are a lot of people who are in both. So do you think that there's an impact? I mean, there's huge auctions there. PWCC has 2 big auctions ending this weekend, right? They got their premiere ending tonight. Their first weekly auction ends tomorrow.
Short-term
real good
cards went up, Cage. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm kind
of no. Please.
Short-term cards have actually gone up because really ETH has gone down. So now people, if you guys think of ETH as like a currency, now it takes more ETH to buy the same card that they would have bought a month ago or so. So, because dude, we always see this when NFTs go, when crypto goes down, NFTs go up. I think short-term cards might see a little bit of a bump. Crazy? I would sell cards for ETH right now.
You would sell your cards for ETH.
Yeah, because dude, yeah, I think so.
ETH's pretty low. You know what that makes really cheap, right?
One ETH
Tigers.
one ETH is one ETH. Dude, Tigers
Lucas
are awesome.
Tigers. Lucas Tigers. Lucas Tigers. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Listen, no, I'm curious. I'm curious whether or not you're in a buy card mode, you're in a sell card mode. You know, do you think Brady has anything on the line? You think that guy's legacy is so solid, or do you think that his cards have really run this year? They really have. Since right before the Super Bowl last year to where they are now, many of his cards are 10x from where they were last January. Are people building in another potential MVP? Is it Rodgers instead of him? Are people building in a Super Bowl? Do they take a little bit of a dip if he happens to lose this weekend?
I think a lot more now of who owns the assets. So like the Bowman Chrome base and refractors, I do believe so. If he doesn't win, I do think so, because I think some of the recent buys on that, some of the people reaching are kind of assuming and hoping and betting. It's like a futures bet on Tom Brady. The contender stuff, no, because dude, no one's gonna sell that for a loss. The people maybe two people will sell it for a loss, but like people holding the true gems or like his game worn memorabilia or his Deflategate ball, that's probably really valuable. That's not a real thing. I can't believe you didn't even pick up on that.
What, his deflated ball? No, I'm still
Ball.
I actually think you're right. I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, that there are some cards of his that have run on the lower end, that Bowman Chrome 2000, PSA 10, which is approaching $20,000 now. I mean, that's just nuts. I remember, it being significantly less than that. Are we looking at something that is like the LeBron Chrome while it's at $40,000? Is it the same type of thing?
100% is where my mind went there.
You think that that thing could come back down to 12 or 13 if he gets eliminated from the playoffs? The only thing I'll say is, and I was wrong on the LeBron. When it got to 40, I was like, all right, you know what? Yeah, they can come down. It's definitely run, but there are so many LeBron fans. There's so many people who have missed that run up that they're going to be willing to buy it on its way down and not let it go down. We've got all the way down to 10. I mean, it's a little higher than that now, I think. But I was wrong. I thought
perspective of money a little bit, Cage.
Maybe,
like 11K is a lot of money. There's a lot of LeBron investors.
You mean people shouldn't be spending $25,000-$30,000 on random NFTs?
I mean, like literally, right? Like you could live in a nice place. That's rent for a year. Mm-hmm. We talk about inflation, but like you could literally get a really nice apartment for $3,000, 12 months. That's $36K. So like Topps Chrome or like my dream apartment, like people do start making those decisions when there's a cutback.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my thought where I was going was, you'd figure that there are enough Brady people who missed out on that card on its way up that if it started to come down, they'd start grabbing it at now what they think is a discount. But, I guess it has run. So I guess there's room for it to come down.
A lot of stuff in our society has become politicized, Cage. So I'm curious how much
is Tom Brady politicized?
No, Tom Brady's not. Nick Saban is now apparently giving dumb quotes. But what I mean is like we're entering into midterms, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very convenient when you see, and this is just a theory. When you see
I love your theories. Let's go.
When you see a downturn like this, the Fed is going to increase interest rates to combat inflation. Okay, great tactic, but the damage is done. They've already printed so much money. So like your interest rate increase is great, and it scared some people off. But I fully believe that this time next year, we're going to be reaching record highs again, because as much as we think like it's that easy to get Biden out of presidency, they're going to bring it back, and he's going to win again, as much as that pains me to say. So, like,
well, we're not even close to midterm. He's not up on midterms. That's the point of the midterm. He's not up now for election.
Right, but you have, let's say a year from now, things get better. Now he's going into the election with, when I first inherited, I have so many COVID cases. The market crashed. And then in 2023, heading into the election year, it's like, wow, look, we have stock market record highs, crypto markets record highs. I always think that some of these things are kind of a ploy more than a reality.
All right. Listen, I don't know how that goes with Brady cards, but I mean, I think what you're saying maybe is that there's a lot of scare tactics going on now. There's like a shakeout. You think this is kind of like a fake shake, and you think
Right.
that they're trying to take money away from people, have markets crash, have people in a worse financial situation. This way, they're maybe reliant on the government a little bit more. And when you create a situation where it's like, oh wow, everybody's in bad shape, but then you create a hero out of it. It's like, I got us out of that bad stuff. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Cage. And so crypto markets, believe it or not, are bellwether stocks. They're the Jordans of stuff. Like when people have more crypto, when Bitcoin was running to record highs, the Jordan card was at record highs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is correlated, whether you guys would like to believe it or not. My thing on it is Russia is proposed a ban on crypto, right? And
Yes.
that's that's been interpreted by the market as negative news, Cage.
Yep.
Historically, anytime there's a ban on crypto, that's amazing for the price. Like every single time it increases adoption.
Why? Why?
Because free marketing, for one. People who aren't looking at crypto, they're like, hey, why did these guys who are probably our enemies banning this? So it increases adoption for that reason. And then people in the country just VPN out and still get crypto. It's never, ever. You could look. It has always had a blimp and then boom.
I love it. Yay, the blimp. The blimp makes its return.
Dude, what a weird episode. I'm like ranty all like about a million different
things. I mean, I think right now you're kicking it right down the middle. I think you're like McPherson. Money McPherson. I think you're doing all right. Because listen, obviously a lot of people are thinking about it. I mean, you can't get on Twitter, you can't get on Instagram, you can't get on anywhere without, people talking about crypto. And even if you're not a crypto person, even if you're not somebody who's invested in it, I mean, it would be foolish to think it has nothing to do with the prices of other assets. I mean, people use it to buy cards. I mean, Golden accepts, multiple types of crypto. PWCC, they accept multiple types of crypto. If you're in an auction and it's ending this weekend in PWCC, you're probably not thrilled the fact that people who had more buying power in crypto now have less buying power to buy your high-end cards. So it obviously, what you're saying does hit home.
Kevin O'Leary said eventually crypto is going to be the 8th sector of the S&P. Just going to be another sector on all these. And you can see they're all correlated, man. They're all correlated.
Well, listen, it's very interesting stuff. So, so what's actionable based on your read of the crypto market, of the card market, of everything for our folks? It's one thing to talk about it and just, say, hey, well, this is what's going on in the market. How about we take it one step further and, you're on an episode of Fast Money or whatever it is, and our listeners want to tap into your knowledge about crypto and what it happens to the market. What can they do with their own portfolios? What can they do with cards? What can they do with what they have? Should they be selling now into crypto? Should they be looking for another alternate asset class like Bro Namath is doing? Should they be buying comic books? What's your thought based on what you're seeing in the market?
Buying VHS tapes?
VHS tapes? I don't know. This is why I'm asking you, man.
Furbies. Let's bring Furbies back. Remember those?
If anybody wants Beanie Babies, I got plenty. Furbies were scary.
What do you think? I got my thoughts, but what do you think? You go first.
What do I think? I think I don't like asking questions and then having to answer them. But I'll answer if you want.
For me, number one is always have an emergency fund, whatever that means to you. You can figure that out. But always have an emergency fund. It gives you peace of mind, when you're like, I got cash, I got whatever, something liquid, something that doesn't change.
Got home in different area codes.
Always have an emergency fund.
Codes.
Always have an emergency fund.
313 and the 818.
And if you need to sell off a few of your kind of risky assets, not a big deal. Do it.
So a rainy day fund. You muted yourself, but it's okay.
Own things you have conviction in that you really like. So even if there's a downturn, you're like, whatever. This is a Kobe game worn patch auto. Okay, it's 4K. I do want the money, but I really like this thing.
Okay.
And then be patient.
Fair.
And then learn. Why is Bitcoin going now? What is Bitcoin? Because there's a lot of people who wrote off Bitcoin, wrote off NFTs, wrote off ETH, wrote off digital collectibles, wrote off cards, wrote off sneakers. And this downturn might be their time to get in, not at the highs, at a stage where, wait, now I have alpha again. And you could find winners, man. There's a lot of good deals out there. So like, be patient, but like learn and spot some opportunities.
So I would tell people, and what I was waiting for you to get into is, there are, in times like this, if people are running for the hills, they usually are bargains if you're willing to put in a little bit of work and look and use the different platforms that are out there, especially now when we're at a time where the market is about as decentralized as it's ever been. And by that, I mean with PWCC doing their auctions, it's Golden doing their auctions. I can't tell you guys how many times Andrew sends us a text and it's like, look at this card on alt. Like, this thing is crazy. Look at this. And I guarantee that 50% of the market is not looking at alt right now. Like, I don't look at it every day. I don't look at the cards that are listed on it. I used to look at eBay every day when it was a much more centralized thing, so that if there was a bargain, I would catch it. But here's the problem. Everybody was looking at eBay every day because it was the centralized clearinghouse for where to sell your cards. It had all the eyeballs and all the cards, and it was harder to get a bargain because of that. Because if you saw the bargain, guess what? 10 other people did as well, and you were bidding against them. Now where you have stuff broken out into different places, maybe you are able to find something that not everybody is on, right? Maybe you're able to do. I mean, I don't want to blow up this kid's spot, but we've talked about it a bunch of times. And it's funny how we're in the IG group that Andrew and I met in has some heavy hitters in the hobby in it, right? It has some people, you guys, names you all know. And then it's got also guys who just hustle. And we know this guy DJ who's in our group, and I used to call him the king of ComC. He asked some questions. We had ComC on and the whole deal because he would always be buying dollar cards and flipping them for $3 the next week. He was huge on Mikal Bridges before anybody thought he was going to do anything. Had conviction in that and just bought a ton, right? Was buying soccer and golf before anybody else was. Buying the Prism soccer cards before anybody else was.
Contextualize, Cage. Like, not buying Prism soccer and stuff. Like, buying like $1 cards and selling them for $9.50.
Yeah, buying like the 2014 Prism, Messi's and Neymar's and those for $1.
People in our group would laugh at. We'd be like, "What is this guy talking
like,
about?"
Why is he? People would be like, "Dude, you have to buy so many of those to make any kind of money." But he was making like 10, 20x on all these things. So it all adds up because you're buying in volume. You know what he's doing now? Because he sends screenshots. He's like, "Look what I just did," and he'll buy something on alt yesterday and sell it tomorrow at a huge profit. It doesn't even touch the thing.
Well, let me explain why. First off, explain alt has that instant ownership transfer, but you have an offer function. So some people just want to get out of under cards, especially in a time like this. So you send offers, and if they accept, amazing. You just relist it, and people, you just wait. It's kind of NFT-esque in that, and alt only takes, I think, 1.5%. So in terms of fees, man, other platforms
can't beat that.
10, 30.
Well, I mean, it's smart to use it, right? Because you can't do that on eBay.
Not an advertisement.
Get a thing shipped to you.
Not an advertisement.
And we're not being paid by these guys. Come on. We're not paid by any of the auction houses or anything like that. Yeah, we'll see.
We're Adam Lefko, creative designer, creative director.
He's very creative, Lefko. He's a very handsome man.
Dude, he's in TV commercials now. I think.
Really?
Yeah, in the Bleacher Report one. Bleacher Report TV commercial. I think he's talking about Tom, actually, in it.
It's my guy. That's my guy. Listen, I mean, it works.
Guy tea kettle for his wedding.
I sent him. Yeah, I sent him from his wedding registry. He was on our show. It was nice of him to come on the show.
You guys have like registries, like, yo, this is the shit I want you guys to buy for my wedding. Like, we don't do that. We cash.
Who's we? You mean Russians, Ukrainians, or just you and your family? When you say we, who are you referring to? Like Russian. Your generation?
I don't know. I think it's a Russian thing, but maybe it's a Jewish thing too. I don't know. Like the Russian Jewish culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Srazitsia. I mean, look, it's all good stuff, man. I mean, it's it's like Glasnost that you're talking about here now. Gorbachev. No?
Mikhail?
Boris Yeltsin? Yeah, Ivan Drago?
Is he the one that broke up the Soviet Union, right?
I guess. I don't know. Which was the one with the thing on his head? That was Gorbachev.
Nice.
That was a really funny one in Naked Gun. He He rubbed it off. He took like a wipe, wiped it off his head.
When you're like on your deathbed, 130 years old,
yes,
you're gonna be like, wow, if I put this brain to use on something other than fucking movies.
No, I can't tell you, dude.
It's from movies. Like, what's the guy with that thing?
All right,
what
guys,
movie from
here's what I want you to do. Because Andrew just doesn't get it because he doesn't see my messages. I want every one of you whose favorite part of this is the movies to tell Andrew to be quiet about the movies and don't take the movies out of the episodes because it's your favorite parts. Because I gotta tell you, people love the movie stuff. I can't even believe people love it as much as they do. But look, it is what I mean. I have people. I just go back and forth. We have conversations just in movie quotes. I mean, one of our listeners in Cardboard Underground, we basically did the whole movie of My Blue Heaven. That was the whole conversation, just back and forth. How many lines in a row can we do? It was pretty funny. But I'm with you. I understand my brain is wasted on movies. So let's talk about something else, right? Let's talk about cards. Let's talk about, I think we've given some.
Your brain is wasted.
We only use like 8% of your brain. So I could use, 8% on movie quotes. There's still 92% of it to be used on something else. Here's a fun game, right? Kevin Bacon. It's called the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. That's a fun game for you to play, right? So you tell me a movie star and watch what I do. Go ahead. Give me what?
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn. Okay. Vince Vaughn's a good one. So let's see how fast we can go. Vince Vaughn. So it's how quickly can we go Vince Vaughn to Kevin Bacon? So Vince Vaughn. I want to try to do it in less than like 3. Because I could do it in 6, but I want to see if I could do it really quick.
What is going on?
Well, you got to link it to movies, right? So you're supposed to be looking at like movies that Vince Vaughn was in and like who his co-stars were, right? So I'm trying to think of like ones that you wouldn't think. So Vince Vaughn and John Favreau.
Kevin Bacon.
What do you say?
Keep going.
Because it's 6 degrees of separation. So you go like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's like one of those kind of things. You understand? No? You don't understand?
How could I not understand?
That doesn't. So look, really quick. You ready? So go Vince Vaughn to John Favreau in Swingers. John Favreau and Marissa Tomei in any Spider-Man movie. You can name whichever one you want. Marissa Tomei to Joe Pesci in My Cousin Vinny. Right? Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro were together in Casino. Robert De Niro and Kevin Bacon were together in Sleepers. So there you go. In less than 6 degrees, you link one movie star to Kevin Bacon. No?
Is the denominator always Kevin Bacon?
It's always Kevin Bacon because he was in so many movies with so many people. It makes it very easy. But I'm telling you why. Because the 6 degrees of separation, you substituted separation for Kevin Bacon. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Is this because you love bacon too? Is there anything?
I do love bacon. And he is pound for pound one of the greatest actors of all time, according to Guardians of the Galaxy. Footloose.
All right,
have you ever seen that in Guardians of the Galaxy? No.
So, I believe that autographs matter. Cage believes that autographs are stupid. I don't know about Mike Trout cards because I don't understand why the Mike Trout Topps update is so much more valuable than autographs of Mike Trout. Here's what I'm thinking. Mike Trout is a guy you do not see out in public a lot. He is not signing everything that he sees. He's not doing all that. So I'm here thinking, okay, Mike Trout, the best player of all time. Okay, he's been injured. No one cares. He never won a World Series. Apparently no one cares about that either in baseball. They have their own rules. They probably have their own forum about like this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. So
Ted Williams never won a World Series,
Huh?
Ted Williams never won a World Series. People love him.
No one cares. And people love this. As we get closer to baseball season, we're seeing wins above replacement. Mike Trout is that guy every single year. So we're going to see that stat in perpetuity. And this is if he doesn't play anymore. I saw a card today with a Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, dual auto with a patch. Topps, please stop making not associated with any player or event patches. No one likes that. That's stupid. But
it's stupid. Topps, stupid. Very stupid.
Dual auto, no patch auto, not associated with any player, event, or person. Doesn't make any sense. I apologize, Gage. But you have this dual auto, right? we want to invest in Mike Trout. I'm going to pass the mic to Cage because I want to hear what card he would buy. I believe Mike Trout is a buy right now for two reasons. Short term, okay, he's always been injured until he's not. He's a fit guy. He's strong. He obviously takes care of himself. He has a good mindset. Sometimes you run into stuff, it happens. So short term, I think he could come out this year and have a lot of success and prove he's the best player in baseball. Second short term, now he's with Shohei Ohtani, pitching, all that stuff. No one cares because if they're both mashing 30, 40 home runs this season, they're going to be talking about these guys all over ESPN, plastered everywhere, all that stuff. So short term, you have that potential. But even if none of that happens, you have long-term potential with him as well. That's my take. I think autos of this guy is cool, but apparently that's not what you do in baseball. You buy his Topps paper update or his Bowman Chrome prospects, which is that's not a play. That's just very expensive. Paige, any thoughts? What would you buy?
I mean, I'm wondering whether in baseball it matters as much as basketball, the whole not used in any specific thing. You talk about Trout. I'm worried about Mike Trout. I got to tell you, I'm worried about Trout. I have a Trout card. I showed you guys some pictures of my Trout card. I'm worried about Trout because he's gone from he's young and he's done things. He's compiled stats that no one's done at that point in time. The WAR is so great, you name it. To he's now a little older. And he's played a couple seasons where he doesn't play, right? He misses half the season. And if that happens enough, but if that happens enough, all of a sudden, the run at records that people were almost counting on, right? The fact that he was going to have 500 home runs, maybe 600 home runs, maybe take a run at 700 home runs. The fact that he was going to have 3,000 hits, maybe take a run at 3,500 or 4,000 hits because he's been doing it for so long. Started so young and was at such an amazing pace. All of a sudden now you start to look at him and say, all right, he's playing now with the reigning MVP. He's playing now with Shohei, right? He's got a team around him, right? He's got some young stars there. You got Joe Adele. They're building, hopefully sign a couple more pitchers. But if he doesn't win, and then, he's dinged up and starts playing 135, 140 games a season instead of 150, 155, all of a sudden, you got a guy who's real good, but is not going to retire top 10 in anything and is not going to win. And if he doesn't win and he's not top 10 in any category, then is he worth the prices that people are paying for him? I mean, this is a guy who is, his card prices for baseball already put him in the whole, Brady, LeBron pricing category. He is that guy. The only difference is he hasn't won at all. And those guys haven't. I know you like to say the baseball matters not the one means the world. One is everything because baseball is very hard, long season, very hard to repeat. You see that it's very hard to win a lot. It's what makes somebody like Jeter. You're gonna say he wasn't the greatest of all time. But shoot, go ahead.
You did an exercise in what if, right?
Yeah. No, but it's already happening. We're at kind of we're at a turning point for him. Because he's no longer the young guy. You know what I mean? He's still young. He's in his prime. He's supposed to be putting up monster seasons now. And this is a guy who a couple years ago, you could make an argument that he should just be the MVP every year. And that the reason they weren't giving him MVPs in some of these seasons were because they were just tired of giving Mike Trout the MVP. It was just that much better. That's not the case now when you don't play a full season. And if you don't play...
So,
go ahead.
I just want you said, what if this continues and then you prorate it and he doesn't get the stats? But what if he does?
Yeah, but even now, when you miss 2 years, which he's basically missed the majority of 2 years, he's now 2 years later and he's not where he was 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Sure. Does he turn it on?
If he puts up 30, 40, 45 home runs next year and Shohei Ohtani does as well, his cards have been sold off over the last 2 years, that his cards will appreciate in value.
No, I mean, yeah, he can obviously have a great year, but the thing, it catches up, right? Other people get better. He's no longer lapping the field. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's the American League. It's a little easier. There's not all these young studs there, right? But yeah, I mean, sure, his cards could go up if he has an MVP season, and it should be easier for him to do that, right? Mookie Betts is not there to compete with in the American League for the MVP anymore. right? He doesn't have the young guys like Tatis. He doesn't have Bryce Harper. He doesn't have a lot of those bats. They all are in the National League now. You know what I mean? Harper has always been in the National League. But, who's he competing against in the American League? Altuve? Aaron Judge?
I think also, like, you have to take into consideration, like, okay, John Jones has missed a lot of,
Yes.
fighting, but that's because he doesn't have this. Mike Trout has had, a little bit of a calf. Sometimes things come up. Baseball is it's not a physical sport, but it's a very physically demanding.
Oh, I'm not saying it's his fault, but it still matters.
It matters.
You know what I mean?
Differently than if it was his fault. If it was someone who kept doing dumb stuff, okay. But if it's just like someone like Klay Thompson who just got unfortunate twice.
I mean, I disagree. I think this is a huge season for him. I think he's got to go out there and be healthy. He's got to go out there and play a full season. He's got to put up Trout numbers again, and then you're going to see that. Yes, but right now, he's
going to just automatically be unhealthy
because that's the game. Most people don't play the whole season, and what he's shown is that when he plays at his level, he doesn't stay on the field. When you play all out,
out of his 10 years, is that happened? 8 years, he's been on the field for 100+
Dude,
games.
the last 2 years. It's the last 2 years, and it's always something with him. It's always something. It's always some nagging thing.
It's never like I'm distracting my team from winning.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Most people don't distract. You don't get extra credit for doing the right thing. I'm raising my kids. You don't get extra credit for that. You're supposed to do it. You're supposed to be on the field. You don't get extra credit for staying healthy. You're supposed to stay healthy. You get a demerit when you get hurt, whether it's your fault or not. And what he's shown now is as he's aged, as he's no longer this young kid who can spring back, the injuries stay. They're nagging. And he gets shut down. Shoot.
You do understand if you get injured and there's one, like, as an investor, you're like, okay, he got injured. That's one way to think about him as an investor. Oh, this guy's always in trouble. He gets DUIs. He's out partying. He doesn't have the right mindset. That's a different why he's not on the field.
Of course. But nobody's going to say that about Trout. He'll never be the guy who's out there making those mistakes. But prior to 2 years ago, he was a durable guy, and you thought an MVP. Or last 2 years ago, you were like, all right, well, the injury bug can catch anybody. No big deal. Now, after 2 years of it, if you're a Trout holder and you bought him more than 2 years ago, like I did, you are not as confident in him and his ability to stay on the field.
I don't own Trout. You're biased.
But how am I biased? No, I would say not biased. I'd say I have skin in the game. I didn't just look at Trout this week for the first time and say, wow, Trout's underpriced. No, I watched in the last 2 years and sat there with my hands under my ass saying, oh my God, he better get healthy. Why is he not back on the field? Wow, this is becoming a repetitive thing with him. So maybe I am biased, or maybe what I consider biased is educated. Maybe I actually know Trout. Maybe I've seen him play the last 2 years.
Or maybe
kind of can't.
Super excited for Klay to come back. He was out for 2 years.
Yeah, but it's great that Klay's coming back. He's out for 2 years. Are Klay's prices anywhere near where they were? No.
Right around the same. $800.
No, they're not. I mean, yeah, if you don't count the whole run-up, sure. If you don't count the whole, where his Prism 2012 was $1,800. That's not because of his injury. Everybody else's 2012 Prisms are going down. He
wasn't even playing during that injury, during that run-up.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So, but here he was. I mean, those cards aren't where they were. But let's see. I mean, Klay's one of those real fan favorites. People are excited. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens to his cards if he doesn't do his stuff. Let's see what happens to Kawhi. Right? He's out. He's injured.
Dude, no one likes Kawhi. He has no personality. But Mike Trout is a fan favorite. He's the Mantle. He plays baseball the right way.
He was. People are fickle. I'm not the only one who thinks this. A lot of people have asked me whether or not this is a make or break year for Trout. And look, maybe he shows up and has a great year, and maybe he stays healthy, and that'll go a long way towards putting the naysayers away. Look, guy, you don't have to go as far. Look at his own teammate. Look at Ohtani. Ohtani couldn't do the whole one way, 2-way pitching, batting. This was his third year trying. I mean, he was out for a while. Remember, he got injured, and then they were not going to let him pitch. They were just going to let him DH. They were just going to let him bat. They weren't going to do it. And then this year, he put it all together and had an MVP season where he was a plus pitcher and a plus hitter by a long shot. And all of a sudden, that answers questions where he hadn't done it for 2 years before. And everybody went apeshit on Ohtani cards. Even though 2 years prior, the 2 years prior, he didn't show that he was able to do this. This is that kind of year for Trout. Trout's got to show up. He's got a supporting cast around him. Shoot.
How bad is this team? How bad are the pitchers on this team?
They're not. I mean, they're They're not in the top half of pitchers. Their offense is significantly better. Ohtani's a good pitcher, but he doesn't pitch, as often as a regular starter would be. We'll see. Some of the young guys have to do better this year.
Joe
The
Madden.
The American League's wide open. American League is way more wide open than it's ever been, ever. Right? The National League is stacked, but the American League, it used to be, oh wow, the powerhouse, Yankees, Red Sox. Now they're not even the best team in that division anymore, and neither of them have done anything in the offseason to do anything nuts. It's just another year of the Yankees not retooling. They're going to actually get worse. Right? Same thing with the Red Sox. They got to worry about committing money to Bogarts and Devers. The Rays are even getting better. They're bringing up young guys. So, but I would think that without that powerhouse, without that one great team, why not the Angels? Why not the Angels with Trout and the reigning MVP and a couple of the young kids coming up like Joe Adele? Why can't they win this year?
They have a good manager.
They do. One of the best. One of the best. Who knows? We'll see. Listen, it's one of those storylines that more so this year than in years past, people are watching Trout. It was a foregone conclusion the guy was going to be a top 5 MVP, but he hasn't because he hasn't stayed on the field.
I wouldn't.
He was like a sure bet. He was a sure bet. Listen, here's what's funny, right? Take it the other way. If I were holding Ohtani cards right now, I'd be selling every one of them.
Well, that's because you have no chill.
I have no chill? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. You have to explain.
Well, you could sell 9 and keep 2. You could sell 6 and keep 3.
Or I can sell all my looks at the peak and be excited that I won. See, here's the thing, right? I can sell him now because I don't think he can do what he did this year. I could be wrong. But, you have to have that conviction, right? I look at the body of work of Ohtani, and I think last year what he did was unprecedented, and it's going to be so hard for him to do again. From a health perspective, and we've shown now he's been here 3 years. He only is able to do it 1. That's a 1 in 3 average. That's a 1 in every 10 album average. That was Illmatic. The other shit's a do. No, you know what I'm saying? Little Jay-Z. When he's making fun of Nas. No, you don't know these lyrics. So in any event, it's one of those things, man, where I bet on the history, and I also bet on whether or not I think it's sustainable. Trout, you're right on Trout. Trout has 10 years. 8 of them were fantastic. 2 of them were injury prone. So you got 80% of his years, he did great stuff. So if I'm going to bet on this year, okay, Trout. This is a year, he's a make-or-break year. He knows it going in. That's 80%. Whereas Ohtani has played 3 years. Only one of those years, he had this world-beater stuff. His cards are priced now like he's going to do that every single year when he's only been able to do it 1 out of 3. To me, that's a calculated odd. Let me sell my Ohtanis and maybe buy the Trouts. Because Trout, his track record says 80% of the time he plays, he's gonna be awesome.
Trout card would you buy?
Yes, he's a fish, buddy. It's funny, man. Trout's one of those weird ones, right? Wow. Where he doesn't have a chrome, right? So I own a card. I'm not going to give that one as the one I'd buy. Here's what I buy: the 2011 Topps update that he's in. That was the year they did the Diamond anniversary, and it doesn't exist in any other set. That almost takes the place of like a chrome or refractor, that kind of stuff. It's not numbered, right? It's not the rarest thing on earth, but it is an awesome look. Pull that card up. Pull up the 2011 Topps update Diamond, right? You want to talk about not cognac, just regular diamond. Cognac's like browner version, just a regular diamond anniversary edition. A real slick looking card. And like you say, you want to talk about shiny? There you go. Pull up. You can zoom that picture in. Look at how it's about as shiny as it gets. Look at that. That's pretty sweet because that's in a paper set. So when you throw that diamond border around it, what are they saying on the ladder? What's the ladder saying? Wow, it's a crazy peak. Forget about that peak. So you just take that middle finger right out.
30th, before any run up, this was pre-COVID, 4,500. Right before, let's say right around when COVID started, 9,000. Peaked in 2020 at 15K, then peaked again in February, March of last year at 29K, probably some outlier sales here. People are chasing.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And now it's 11K. So maybe right around where it started 2 years ago, right before COVID. So if you
Yeah,
had
no real run up.
if you had a player who, I mean,
No.
in his sport,
Here's what's crazy, by the way. 308.
Huh?
308 of those. 308. I'll pull up the same one, gold.
I like gold.
I like gold. Pull up the same one, gold. The same 2011 update gold PSA 10. So there was 308 of those diamonds, $11,000. People love that diamond, though. That's the thing. Remember, it's supply and demand. People love that diamond. But if you pull up a gold, I like gold.
So, like what you're saying is, it's not just low supply, low pop. It's also high demand. Thanks,
Yep,
Cage.
because
I
when you
missed 101, so I really appreciate
when
it.
you no, but when you see this one here, I'm curious what the price is because I think the pop is 50 on the
Which
PSA
one do you
10.
want me to go to?
The 10, the PSA 10, if there is one. Yeah, 50. So there's 1/6 of the amount it is.
Little OC. That's not a 10 in my opinion, gentlemen.
Look at you. Look at you. Giving PSA some shit. And this one hasn't come down as much. It peaked around the same, but it hasn't fallen off. I'm with you. If you look at the light, it's not a lighthouse, so it's a 2000 series. What are they saying? Same peak area there.
So
Started at 13.
Let's go all time. So
Wow, that's a lot of all time.
So I see. Okay. 4,000 in 2019. Who remembers that? Mid COVID, 13,000, 14,000, peaked at 25K, now 20K. Not a ton of sales on this card, Cage.
Not a what?
Not a ton of sales. I mean, what, 1, 2?
It was only 50. You wouldn't expect a ton of sales.
I mean, when there's a run up, a card could change hands, 5, 6 times, Cage. You know that. Supply and demand, you know that. Come on.
Those are the ones where if you're a believer in Trout and you say I'm biased, that guys, I own that card. I own one of the 50, and it hasn't seen the light of day in 3 years almost since I bought it. So that's why they don't trade too often. Because it's gold, and there's no gold chrome, there's no gold refractor, there's no nothing. So it's gold, but it's not shiny gold. People like that diamond one. The diamond's a lot shinier. Yep. I remember when that diamond was $4,000, and it was a PWCC auction, and I, instead of paying $4,000 for that diamond, I put $4,000, same price. I bought the 94 SP Alex Rodriguez for the same price. I don't know which one's doing better now. That one also doesn't change hands that much because there's not that many of them, but I'll remember that. There's always like the card that I did buy and the card that I passed on. Most of the time, I make the wrong decision, so don't go with me.
Over what time frame? I'm willing to sit here and say I think Trout might be the best investment over the next 2 years.
You think so?
I'm willing to say it's going to be a top 10er. It's hard to know, I don't want to go. I don't know baseball enough to go that big, but I'll say top 10 for sure.
Listen, he's somebody I like to root for. I mean, the last 2 years have been painful because, there are these guys who come once in a generation and have a chance to assault the record books. And you like to root for folks like that. And then, unfortunately, injuries kind of derail them. People will say what they want about Jeter, but there was a time there towards the end of his career where he was still getting 200 hits a season. And I was like, this guy can make a run on Ty Cobb and Pete Rose. He can make a run at 4,000 hits. And then towards the end, he would, missed the whole season. He was injured, and he ended up 6th in hits. It doesn't take much a season here to derail you. One season missed where, the counting stats become harder to make up for that when, especially if you're missing a season in your prime. But you're right. The guy plays the ball. He plays the game the right way. He's never been caught in any kind of drama. No one's ever said anything bad about him. He doesn't have a brother dancing on the sidelines. There's no TikToking. He is.
Leave Russell alone.
You could even say that he's like. Oh, I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes' brother. He's you could see that it might actually be to his detriment. You know what I mean? He plays out in the West Coast. You don't see a lot of televised games. He doesn't do a lot of promos. You don't see a lot of Mike Trout on products. He's not getting the Trout price from State Farm. You just don't see him. He doesn't do a good job of promoting himself either, which does matter.
Are you going to give a play in 2023 or 20 next?
No, my play was sell Ohtani. There's my play. It can't just be, hey, buy Mike Trout. I mean, if you want me to give a play like yours, guys, there was this guy playing football.
Are you saying
Trout? Mike Trout. So there's this guy in football named Patrick Mahomes. He's really great. I mean, he's really awesome. You should buy some Mahomes cards. This guy, Tom Brady, he's awesome. This guy in basketball, his name is LeBron James. Buy his cards. Michael Jordan, he's awesome. Buy his cards. There's this guy Mickey Mantle in baseball. Just buy his cards. Buy his awesome cards. These are the heavy hitters. These are the hard hitting analysis plays that we're getting from Andrew. Meanwhile, I set you up so nice. I talk about how you're finding all these amazing cards on alt, these bargain plays, these arbitrage plays, and no, we go with Mike Trout. Is your play McPherson? Is your play Kickpherson? Is that the play today? Honestly, you know what I would say for a play? I would say this week. Well, look, Mickey Mantle.
Am I crazy? So Mickey Mantle auto.
Yep.
This is auto grade only. His rookie card. $6,750.
Okay, so I'll tell you. So here's the thing, right? It's a 55 Bowman card. It's an awesome card, but the card is a beater, right? Which is good because that's what I would get signed also by Mickey Mantle. I wouldn't get a card like this in high grade signed. So really why this is a difficult ask for me to evaluate is I would have to look at what a 55 Bowman in like PSA 3 sells for, right? And then I'd have to look at what Mickey Mantle autographs sell for on other kinds of cards. That's a cool combo. It's definitely a nice card there, 55 Bowman. There are people who do, runs of, if you check out Card Porn Heroes, one of the last videos that they published was actually a Mickey Mantle auto collector. And he had one on a 51 Bowman, he had one on a 52 Topps. He did a whole run of signed cards. He had one of those also. That's a cool card. Most of his they showed the card grade and then the auto grade also. Nice signature. Was it a pen? I couldn't tell. It's a small thing. So, I mean, you'd like a Sharpie, although on that card with the background, the pen sticks out pretty nice. A 9 auto is nice.
Have Sharpies in 1955?
Mickey Mantle was alive in the 90s. I mean, he signed with Sharpies 100%. You can take a look. Take a look at that Cardboard Heroes video. You'll see what I'm talking about. I like the card. It's just it's very difficult to value. Mickey Mantle signed a lot towards the end of his life before he passed away. I mean, he didn't die early. There's a very big difference between, say, like a Roberto Clemente auto or even a Thurman Munson auto and a Mickey Mantle auto. It's not exactly a scarce auto. So I'd have to check, whether or not 6750 is in the right range. It's a real cool looking thing. So my last part of this one is, guys, the games matter. Derrick Henry just lost today. I still think he's a beast of a player. I think he's amazing. And I think a lot of people were buying his cards, hoping that Tennessee 1 seed, maybe a run towards a Super Bowl for him. The last 2 times Tennessee's been a 1 seed, by the way, they've been knocked out in the divisional round. So this is 3 times in a row. One of those things I didn't realize. 08 and 2000. Doesn't happen a lot, but as a 1 seed, they don't really play that well. Where'd you go, man? You kind of froze for a second, but hopefully I'm still here. So Henry was injured. He came back, maybe a little bit rushed. He looked fine. The Bengals defense is very good. He didn't have a huge game. He scored a touchdown. He'll be back with a vengeance next year, putting up, 2,000-yard season, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. The offensive line will still all be there, and, he'll put up one of these crazy numbers next year. If you have people who were buying his cards in the hope that this was the year the Tennessee Titans went to the Super Bowl and he was winning a Super Bowl and that he was, going to be playing meaningful games and, maybe was Super Bowl MVP, there might be some people who are dumping his cards this week. Right, people who sell some of his cards. Andrew's actually pulled up a couple pretty nice ones. The Prism rookies, the colored Prism rookie. We talked about Derrick Henry during the season before he got hurt. This is a week where I'd look at his stuff, and it doesn't just have to be Derrick Henry, right? If Tom Brady loses and his cards take a dip, it's always good just to bring everything full circle. Like Andrew's talking about, like the crypto world, right? Buying in a dip now is a time to get in on something that's a quality asset that you might not have been able to buy in during a run up.
Yeah,
same thing applies.
Because dip buying someone like a Brady, awesome asset, is different than dip buying some junk.
Correct. But I mean, listen, if Josh Allen happens to beat Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes' cards go down, that's a quality asset, right? I mean, Mahomes is young. He's already done it. He's already won MVP. He's already won Super Bowls. Same kind of thing. And that could happen, right? That could happen this weekend. Josh Allen, I wouldn't call him junk.
I don't think Mahomes is a quality asset. I don't think he's a
Well, he doesn't have to be a blue chip yet, but he's already won a Super Bowl and he's already won an MVP. So as far as the young investments, where you put him with like Joe Burrow, or you put him with Justin Herbert, or you put him with Lamar Jackson, who also won an MVP, or you put him with Josh Allen, like I would say Mahomes is a little safer than Josh Allen.
Dude, he gets a lot of money next year. A lot of money next year.
Yeah, the cap hit is big. You're right. Give Manny a little credit for pointing that one out, right? Was it Manny? Who pointed that? T-Rob? Who pointed that out? Townie Card? Somebody gave us
Let's say Manny and T-Rob, our Luca Nation scouts.
Yeah, man, whoever it was, that was very smart.
Soon we're going to have a scouting department.
I like that. No, but I mean, it's for anybody, right?
You would, Ari Gold.
49ers, right? Debo Samuel. I mean, if they lose, he his cards might take a little bit of a hit. Green Bay, if they lose, shoot.
Lloyd, but really, your Lloyd would be Jordan Ferrone. You know that.
I like Jordan.
I know. I do. That would be your
My Lloyd is Uncle Egan.
That would never work.
Uncle Egan. No, we don't have to have a Lloyd. Lloyd was abused. That was one part. It was very funny, but he was abused. He was abused pretty badly. I don't like abusing people. So Lloyd was really abused. Lloyd!
You're a Monday morning quarterback.
You are a Monday morning.
You're right. If it goes down, you didn't recommend it.
That's true.
With all-stars, those are rookies.
That's right. Do you think Andrew's a Monday morning quarterback? Kid says yes. God.
Dude, you're the kid.
He would say anything. He would say anything, I would say.
Recording this late Saturday night. Whatnot show tomorrow, 10 a.m. A little bit different, but who cares? Labs, banter, fun, whatever. I know we missed.
I'll try to pull some props, right? Some props for tomorrow's games. We try to do some prop bets for tomorrow. We already talked about Josh Allen. Rushing yards is definitely one I would be on. We got some slabs to sell. We'll have some fun. And I definitely am going to do a box break for the Super Bowl, guys. That Sunday show for Whatnot. We'll definitely do a box break. We're going to have props like crazy. And listen, we're talking to Whatnot about basketball. I got to tell you, forget about Fade Andrew for basketball. This dude has been dead on for basketball this season. So if we get a chance to do like basketball plays during the week, oh my word, this kid can make you some money. He knows the game. And even when we're talking about like, oh look, bet the Grizzlies tonight, he'll tell me, bet the Grizzlies. I think you were right. I think you were right on the Grizzlies, that entire win streak. And we were like, they're going to beat the Nets? No way. They're going to beat these guys? And you're like, yeah, trust me. They're on a roll. The team's heating up. They're all healthy. So I hope we do get a chance to do NBA because, as much as we're able to joke in the NFL and make jokes about Fade Andrew, you got to be fading me. And you ain't making money if you're listening to this guy's plays. So should be some fun. Maybe we'll get that done. What do you think?
I'm down. I'll give you guys a quick hint. I think the Phoenix Suns from here on out are going to be a great cover machine. Dude, a lot of betting NBA is finding obviously there's teams in bad spots, but like teams that are going to finish the year, 60 covers and 22 losses, right? You play 82 games against the spread. Man, the Suns team is really interesting team.
So I'm going to say for the next month, bet against the Nets in the games where after Kyrie is there. So the home games where he plays, the Nets will be good bets. But then the very next game, there's no Durant for next month. It's all on Harden's shoulders. And the team's going to be looking like, oh, wow, last night we were great. We had these fantastic – Kyrie was here. And then they had to play on the road without Kyrie. It's a completely different team. We've already seen that. So for the next month, anytime where you see that, they have a nice game, they have Kyrie and Harden, and then they go on the road, bet against the Nets. 2 reasons. 1, Harden can't carry him. And 2, the Nets are still being valued by bookies the way they were when they had Durant playing. The overs, the amount of points they scored, the way they kept it close against teams. And it's going to take a little while for them to figure out that without Durant and in those games without Harden, they're a middle-of-the-pack team, if that.
Kyrie or Chris Paul?
Chris Paul.
One has a championship.
They won't get credit for that championship because it's a championship that, it was a LeBron championship. Chris Paul wins a championship this year, it's Chris Paul's championship. We could talk about this, it's a whole nother episode. This is a long one, but, Booker's awesome, but Booker has not shown up when it means anything. It's Chris Paul's team. That team goes as far as Chris Paul takes them. So.
That's another episode. Love you, Luca Nation.